Let's go to New York and speak to Laird Whitehill, a retired astrophysicist who studied under Carl Sagan. Laird Whitehill, thank you for your time. I'm going to read something to you which I don't necessarily understand, but I'd like you to translate it for laymen like me, please. Hawking was the first to set out the theory of cosmology as a union of relativity and quantum mechanics, and he also discovered that black holes leak energy and fade to nothing. That phenomenon came to be known as Hawking radiation. What are those two things?
Well, the thing about quantum mechanics and general relativity is they exist in two different fields of science. And scientists are either specialized in one or they're specialized in the other. But nobody is able to bring them together to talk about them at the same time in the same sentence. And it was Stephen Hawking who was able to do that for the very first time. And to this day, we still are trying to bring those two together in a theory, a unified theory of science. But it was Stephen Hawking who did that. So the black hole is capable of radiating particles, even though it itself is not actually radiating the particles. The particles are being radiated from the edge of the black hole. As a result, the black hole can evaporate. And very small black holes, according to Stephen Hawking, do evaporate. It's amazing. And he has gained his name after it, Hawking radiation. It's a beautiful thing. He'll be known for it forever.
What about his theorizations about time travel? Were they just theorizations, or is there a point? Did he see a point when science would have advanced to have the necessary scientific sort of mechanical requirements that would allow time travel to actually be possible? Did he ever prove any of that, or was it just him theorizing? Because he liked to talk about lots of different things.
I think he proved it. I think he proved it. The way he proved it was typical of Stephen Hawking. What he did is he held a party open to everybody. Food and drink were provided. The only thing was that the party was announced only after it had been held. So the only people who could attend were time travelers, and nobody attended. So by that, he proved the existence of time travel was proven to not exist.
He also obviously had a sense of humor, and I remember seeing him appear in an episode of The Simpsons. It's a cartoon, for goodness sake. But in a way, I suppose, that helps popularize science. And he was never shy of being sort of part of popular entertainment, as well as being this great scientist.
Yes, my mentor, Carl Sagan, was a popularizer of science. And since then, there have been very few well-known popularizers of science. Certainly Neil deGrasse Tyson, for example. But Stephen Hawking is also known as a popularizer of science. He wrote a terrific book called A Brief History of Time. And for those people who couldn't understand that, he wrote another book called A Briefer History of Time. And as doing such, he was able to popularize science enormously and became a spokesman for things that need to be said about the way our civilization is headed in the future towards perhaps wiping us all out.
I don't know if you're able to actually answer this question, but regarding this quote, Einstein was wrong when he said God does not play dice. Consideration of black holes suggests not only that God does play dice, but that he sometimes confuses us by throwing them where they can't be seen. Did Stephen Hawking believe in God?
No, I don't think he did. But you know, when you don't believe in God, you still need to phrase God as a conditional phrase. So he said, if God exists, then he would have created the laws of the universe. But whether or not God exists, he certainly doesn't break them. So I think he left some room for God to exist.
Looking at the impact that the future of science will have on people's everyday lives, black holes and the quantum mechanics and all of the higher end science apart, the advent of artificial intelligence, which is pretty much with us now, But what it becomes in the future is something that causes great concern to some people, and Stephen Hawking was one of those. He had plenty of warnings about artificial intelligence. What do you make of those warnings?
Well, artificial intelligence is not the only thing he warned about. Artificial intelligence is something that perhaps is something that could cause the demise of our species. But just as easily, climate change can do that. You can simply wipe out all life on Earth by increasing the temperature of the Earth so it's above the boiling point of water. And if that happens, nothing will survive on this Earth. And that is certainly within the realm of possibility of what we can do to the Earth. So Stephen Hawking suggested that perhaps we, as a species, should put ourselves elsewhere in the universe as well to ensure our continued existence. Perhaps Mars, for example.
Laird Whitehill, thank you very much indeed.